Hey everyone, Sister Michelle here from sisterdiy.com, and I am back with another macaron video, but today we are doing heart-shaped, nut-free of course, French macarons. Macarons are a delicate sandwich cookie with a thin, semi-hard shell and a chewy center. So good, so let's get started. These cookies are traditionally made with almond flour, but to make these nut-free, we're going to be using sunflower seeds. The first thing that we want to do is make our sunflower seed flour. Now to do that, just pulse your sunflower seeds with your confectioner sugar for about a minute, and in between pulses you want to scrape down the sides to make sure you're not leaving any whole sunflower seeds, and then just pulse it for another 30 seconds. Next, we want to sift our flour, or sunflower seed flour, and make sure that we're not getting any large chunks. Now this is going to take a few minutes, so you're going to want to be very patient with this recipe. So just sift it until you have everything through the sieve that will go through, and then we're going to repulse what's left one time. Now after your second run through the food processor, you should be left with about 2 tablespoons of seeds that will not go through the sieve. That's perfectly normal, you want that, and just go ahead and discard it. Next, we're going to add our 2 egg whites and our granulated sugar to the bowl of our mixer, and we're going to hand mix this just for a few seconds to get that incorporated and started first, and then we're going to whip this into very stiff peaks. Okay, so this next part is going to take close to 10 minutes. So again, you're going to want to be very patient with this recipe. So every 2 minutes, starting at a setting 5, you're going to increase the speed by 1 and let that whip for 2 minutes. So starting at 5, whip for 2 minutes, then go to 6, whip for 2 minutes, etc. By the end of the 10 minutes, you should be left with a very stiff meringue. Now at this point, you want to add any flavoring or food coloring. Now I do not use any artificial food coloring, I use all natural food coloring, but the thing about all natural food coloring is you almost never know what the end result is going to look like until you make it. So this is actually red food coloring. I don't know why, but it turned my meringue purple. It must be the meringue because I used the same food coloring in an icing recipe and it turned it red just fine. So just keep that in mind when you're using all natural food coloring. If you've never used that one before in that particular recipe, it may not turn out exactly the color that you're going for, but I'm totally fine with purple. And so I'm just going to mix the rest of it by hand. That did not mix it with the mixer, and I'm going to be very careful not to deflate my meringue. Okay, now we want to fold our sunflower seed flour in with our meringue. Again, patience. It's going to take a good 30 to 40 folds to get to the consistency that we want, and that is like a lava type flow consistency. Now, it may seem like it's not going to get there at first because it's going to be a little bit hard to fold it in, but trust me, just keep folding and you will get there. Now we want to add our batter to a piping bag, and I have found that the easiest way to do this is just to get a tall cup and put your piping bag in, drape it around the sides, and pour it right in. Okay, now it's time to pipe our hearts. So I am not the best at piping hearts. I actually had to watch a lot of videos to figure out how to do this. But the great thing about the mat that I'm using is that it's a guide and it's very forgiving. So I'll leave the link below where you can get a mat like this. You can also print out free templates online to place under your parchment paper to use as a guide. But by the third heart, I was pretty good to go. Next, we're going to give our baking sheet a few taps to help get rid of some of the air bubbles. It's also going to help further shape our hearts. And you want to let it sit for 30 minutes or until you no longer feel a sticky batter. Bake them in a 350-degree oven for 10 to 12 minutes or just until they're risen and set, and you will have amazing heart-shaped French macarons that are nut-free and that you made yourself. You want to let these cool completely before removing and filling, but I find that the best way to remove these from a silicone baking sheet is just to kind of peel them off. Now for my filling, I'm using a whipped chocolate ganache. I love chocolate, but you can use whatever filling you like. You can use a buttercream, you can use a jam filling, you can use a caramel filling. I mean, the possibilities for fillings in macarons are pretty much endless, so just use whatever you like. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and for measurements and other recipes, visit sisterdiy.com, and I'll see you on the next video.